accurate. All right, Mr. Burgess, will you talk? You can just say your name if you want to, or you can just test it. Doesn't matter.
Hey Dale, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Ms. Farlow.
Sharon Farley.
Mr. Cook,
So we're not live, right?
you are live. Don't say anything bad.
Thank you, Dale.
Todd Rowland.
Trace Bowles.
And make sure they can hear.
Any labor?
If you all hear.
Brian Biggs.
Where's he at anyway?
He's with us.
They can hear you.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yes.
So you are to be able to hear Mr. Biggs and Mr. Lambeth through here, and then the mic is, as long as you all talking to the mic, they should be able to hear you as well.
How come we cannot see Mr. Biggs?
Well,
Is he
you-
hiding somewhere or what?
There he is.
Sometimes
Oh,
he's better,
there he is.
sometimes it's better to hear him and not see him.
There is a labor.
I was just wondering where it was at.
All right.
Yes.
So we are good to roll when you are.
Yeah, these guys beats on.
Austin's feet.
So we're ready?
We're good.
Okay, at this time, I want to call our special call board meeting to order. And would you please join me in a moment of silence, please? Thank you. This time, would you join the Board of Education for the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance.
To
the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounded like we were out of sync a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay. I guess we just turn this over to Dr. Gainey at this time and let him explain everything that we hear about graduation, and I think he has some results and everything to talk to us about.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cook. Thank you, board members. I want to share maybe the national button. Everyone I'm doing to it. Okay, I want to share what's been going on with graduation with staff and where we are, and really with staff and with the high school principals. We have two options. We start talking about graduation, in my opinion, and I'm completely open to any more discussion that will come tonight, but there's two options. One is that we would hold graduation as scheduled, which would be May 19 at the early college and June 9 for the 6 traditional high schools. But if we do that, it would take an alternative plan, which our high school principals have developed. The other option is one of delaying all high school graduations until late July and early August. I would certainly follow the board's lead on this tonight as well if we were to choose that option, which is one that's been talked about a lot out there in the communities among the kids and the parents. I don't know necessarily we have to set a date tonight, but the board may say we want to set one tonight. But really, I'm not, on that option, not really thinking about a date right now, just late July, early August. So let me kind of walk you through what's been going on with staff, primarily the high school principals. The high school principals have met multiple times. Kathy Waddell, director of high schools, was in these meetings, or in some of these meetings with me. Sheena Creech, because we've been talking about what technology needs may be, and also Beth Davis, because of any student data that may be involved in these ceremonies. The first meeting was on the 22nd of April. I called that meeting. I met by Zoom with the high school principals, and basically that meeting was called for one reason. I wanted to give them what my expectation was, the superintendent, about what we would be talking about graduation, and they were already 10 steps ahead of me. They were eager. They want to do something for kids, they love their kids, and these are real high school principals. These are big-time high school principals, in my opinion. So I gave them two things. I think I put this on email to y'all at some point in the last couple weeks. I said I had two things that I wanted to make sure they're aware of. Doing nothing for high school graduation was not an option in the Randolph County school system. And I asked them to do what they needed to stick together, knowing that this is a very sensitive time, very emotional time. You know, what's going on. We need to be sensitive to the kids and what they have, the hand they've been dealt, especially our seniors. You know, they go to school on the 13th of March and school ends the next day, even though we didn't know that was going to be the end of the year. But when you look at the high school principals and you look at them in the face, you know that their kids are first and foremost on their mind. So the high school principals met a couple times, intentionally got out of those meetings. I didn't want to be in those meetings. I wanted them to go and work as a group. So Kathy, Sheena, and Beth, who were not in those meetings, there may have been one of them or two may have been called into for special issues, but I was returned to them on the 27th, which I think was Monday. We had a conversation. We got to a little bit of a moment where I just felt like we needed to end the meeting because I was trying to get what the group wanted to do and trying to keep my former high school principal days out of it best I could. We met for the final time on the 28th. They wanted to talk some more. Every time we disbanded the meeting, they went back and talked some more. They didn't tell me necessarily we're going to meet tomorrow or whatever, but they came back, they spoke to each other and met again on the 28th, and they came up with an alternative plan. And I don't know what comes out of tonight's meeting. I don't know what graduation looks like for the class of 2020, but I'm pretty daggone proud of what our high school principals came up with. This is a tentative plan. Obviously, it's tentative because we will always operate inside what the governor's restrictions are. We surely hope restrictions are less come June 9. Should we go into this plan with this alternative plan, we hope restrictions will be less. But I will tell you also, the conversations I've had with the high school principals, I think they'll do whatever it takes to have some interaction with their kids on a graduation stage, whether it be June 9 and May 19 for early college or the end of the summer. So the graduation, the alternative plan they came up with had two parts. So we all kind of agreed that the formal ceremony was that part of graduation where everybody's on the stage. The graduates are out front, but you have some students who have speaking roles in the graduation, and you have the principal, and you know, we've all been on the stage as special guests. Probably will not have that role if we go with this alternative plan, because we'll have to limit the number of people on the stage. But part one was do the formal ceremony at the time live, at the time originally scheduled, like Randolph High School, 7 o'clock on June 9th. Southwest High is 7 o'clock on June 9th. Wheatmore is 8 o'clock. At that time, the principal and staff will be on the stage live. It will be live streamed like we've been doing for the 7 years I've been here. We get a lot of feedback about people enjoying the live stream that can't get to the ceremonies for whatever reason. So that will be as live as we could do. It would not be pre-recorded, which was part of the original discussion with the high school principals. So part one was that. Part two was even more exciting, and listening to the high school principals and watching them react to this. Part two would be, again, the stage would be set up, and it'd have to occur before the formal ceremony. It may take 2 days, it may take 3 days, but what I got back from our high school principals was whatever it took to do the best by these kids they were going to do if we did an alternative ceremony. So put them in small groups, and this was on the survey the other day, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Put them in small groups, 10 to 20 graduates. They would have time slots they would sign up for. We hope that restrictions will allow them to bring 2 parents with them. And so the way it would be is, let's just take Eric. Eric Johnson's on the stage with the name caller, whoever's calling names. Stephen Gainey is the graduate. He comes up to the side. We've got everybody spaced out on the sideline, way away from each other. Stephen Gainey gets called. Stephen's parents, as Stephen goes on the side of the stage to enter, his parents go out to the front of the stage. They're standing there watching Stephen interact with Eric, however we have to with safety precautions in place. Probably at this stage will not be a handshake as we're used to. And that will be unfortunate, but that's probably everybody will understand that piece. So what's going to be happening during that time also would be our technology staff's going to be videoing each set of 20 or 10 or 5 graduates, whatever it winds up being. I talked to Dennis today, and I said, Dennis, you're so sincere about this that if you had to put one kid on the field and one kid at Waffle House and the next kid at Sheets, you would do it for the kids. And yes, I would. If that's what we have to do to separate them. So we're talking about 10 to 12 graduates, 2 parents for each graduate. But who knows, if restrictions don't allow that, then we'll have to spread it out. Maybe, we're sitting there in some schools with tracks. You may have one kid and his parents right there at the stage, the next kid on the 50-yard line on the track, the next kid at the gate, like at Providence Grove at the concession stand gate. We will spread it out however we need to do. And I'm confident our high school principals are going to do what they need to. So another piece of this plan was we'd have Group A, Group B, Group C, using different parking lots. So for instance, you go to Providence Grove, you've got the bus parking lot. Group A can come there and come in to get their diplomas. Group B, which will be a different time slot on the day, will come to maybe the student parking lot. So when they go back, these groups aren't crossing each other. Group C would come in later and go to the bus parking lot. Group D to the student parking lot. Just trying to keep as much separation as we possibly can. But technology will be videoed each group, and then let's go back to the formal ceremony. At the end of the formal ceremony, on the night and time of the ceremony, when they're done, then all of a sudden on the live stream we'll be playing each group. It would show, say we're all in a group, here we go getting our diplomas. And then Sheena's group would have Splice right behind it, pre-recorded, because the diploma distribution is going to happen all day of graduation, if not multiple days, depending on what size our groups can be. But the graduates' names will be called when they enter the stage. It will take multiple days. And again, I'll remind you, this is our tentative plan, and we'll operate inside whatever the governor says we can and can't do with tentative plan, with our alternative plans. I will say this again, I want to reiterate on this part, kept coming back to the high school principals, and they kept coming back to me, and there was something missing. And when we got to the point of having the live interaction on the stage last Tuesday afternoon, that kind of did it for them all. We talked about different things. There's all kinds of rumors out there. We talked about, were we going to do a drive-in or anything like that. But when we started talking about can we get them in the stadium somehow, some way, across the stage, that kind of did it, in my opinion, for them. That, to me, that made them feel like we're maybe as close as we can get if we don't do a traditional at the end of the summer. One thing, another note about the alternative, no one would sit down in the stadium. You would go, you come across the stage, Mom and Dad be out front. It's not how we want to operate. Just like on the 13th of March, when we put a plan in of basically hoping to stay in school by limiting who was going to be able to come to schools and all, I felt about this big that night, that Friday night, because we were getting ready to tell the community that we constantly invite in and constantly cherish, stay away. But that's the only way we thought we could stay in school back at that time, when that plan lasted all 24 hours. Okay, so the second action, so when you talk about actions that have been taken, we've been working very hard on the part 1, part 2, or on the, the alternative plan. So then as last week began to unfold, concern continued to rise, and, people asked me about Chromebooks. And yeah, I struggled with Chromebooks going out the door. 2045 I went out the door on the 24th of March. But I think I'd also struggle if I went to schools and saw them all sitting idle on the shelves. Thank goodness I think we're going to get enough relief money to recover, and we will. And I understood the concern. I had the same concerns. Will we ever see them again? What shape will they be in? But started having some concern about the kids. Chromebooks and the packets have been about the kids. Graduation's about the kids. So, decision was made Tuesday, and you saw it, because I sent you a text, to survey. And as the day went along, decision increased to survey parents. So the survey we did, I want to say thank you to Sheena Creech, Beth Davis, and Kathy Waddell. We turned the survey around. We made it very simple. We simply, you got it, the kids got it by way of their school system email. And when they submitted it, there was an option for them to click and another response to be sent by the parent. You had to identify yourself as a student or parent. And we had 2 questions. And the 2 questions were, do you want to delay graduation and have a traditional graduation end of July, early August? We didn't put a date. Or do you want to do one on June 9 or May 19? Shea Roche has her graduation coming with the alternative plan. We tried to give a little bit of description. Mr. Cook, board members appreciate, because got enough feedback to say, describe alternative. Don't just put alternative. So we put that, we went as far as to say 2 guests in the line. So that survey went live at 10 a.m. on the 29th of April. It stayed live until 8 p.m. on the 1st of May. High school principals also left our meeting Tuesday the 28th, and they got together. I asked them simply, send a phone message out to your kids so they know that's going. And I heard one of them say, okay, when we get off this, let's get together, make sure we're sending the same message. So I don't know what happened to that, but I've tried to keep my hands as far away from them as I could on some things, because I wanted it to be about their schools and about their kids. So all 7 high schools sent a phone message, and I want to go through the results with you. I've got a copy. Beverly, if you will send the email that has the results to Mr. Biggs and to Mr. Lambeth, so they'll have it. Mr. Biggs, Mr. Lambeth, I'm getting ready to pass out a hard copy right now of the results. I want to say one thing when you talk about slowing it down. Let's talk about what Shea Roche's ceremony is going to look like if she does the alternative on May 19th. She will slow it down so much that one kid will go into Journey Church and go across the stage. The next kid will never enter the church until the other child is out of the church. So, and she'll be able to slow it down even more because of her smaller numbers. But we're willing to slow down whatever we need to slow down. And if it takes a bunch of days to do it, I know the high school principals are going to do what's right by kids. That's what is the strongest thing that's come out of all this from my end, is knowing what they've always thought about their kids and watching them verbalize what they were trying to do for kids. So I'm going to pass out the data real quick, and I'm going to go through it with you and tell you what I did and what the percentages mean. All right, so let's talk about the data. So we've got the school name, and then we have the number of seniors that were emailed the survey. So that's the size of the senior class. Now, first thing I looked at was what kind of participation rate would you get. And if you look down, the smallest participation rate was Randolph Early College High School, 66.67%, Providence Grove, 68.52%, and we got up as high as Wheatmore High, 77.6%. The overall senior participation rate system-wide was 71.85%. So I think that's pretty good for it went live at 10 a.m., basically a 3-day survey. I think they responded, which is what I thought our kids would do, if we could get the word to them. All right, so really, you have option 1, you have option 2. Option 1 is reschedule it to a later date, and we talked about on the survey, we said reschedule traditional graduation to later. So that's going to be important because they're talking about traditional graduation, what they're expecting. So then when you look down, the option 1, the lowest number of percentage of students who wanted to wait was at the early college, 71.43%. I tell you, that number's a little not, even though it's the lowest, their lower number of graduates makes any decision volley that data back and forth easier. The data set's not as strong, it's not as firm because lower number of students. But you go from 71% all the way up to Providence Grove, 89.19% of the students wanted to wait, and Trinity High School, 89.66% of the students wanted to wait. So overall, waiting by the seniors had an approval of 82.34%. Now, holding and waiting and doing the alternative plan overall was 17.66%. You see as low as Trinity High School and Providence Grove 10.81%, Trinity High 10.34%. The highest rating for wanting to do the alternative on their scheduled day was the early college, I do believe, 28.57%. Now, graduation is this is the kids. This is the kids' event. But let's go look at the parents. Look on the parents' side as well. Now, I just took the data and said the best way I could compare apples to apples in many ways was to say we're only expecting one survey from each parent, even though both parents could have responded for a child. So those participation numbers for the parents are they're a little higher than they probably really are, because Eastern Randolph has 146 seniors, so you got to figure we've got upwards of almost 300 parents. So I don't know if you're following what I'm talking about. I really just based it on one parent survey being submitted. So parent response was 41.38% system-wide. Now, if you go to the parents' responses, the parents' responses almost mirror the kids' responses. You have as low as 72.22% for Randall High School from the parents, and as high as 89.86% Trinity High for reschedule to a later date. And then for going ahead on June 9 and May 19, you see the overall rate was 20.09% for the for the parents. So really the last column, total number of surveys, I didn't do any percentages there because I didn't see that was in the decision-making issue. So you can see the survey data is very strong in the responses to waiting, but you also, the data and the students is really supported by the number of responses, much more than the parents. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'll just end with a couple comments, Mr. Cook, and I'll step back and take notes as needed. Again, I want to remind you that our high school principals, should we get to do the alternative plan on the regular dates, they will slow it down as much as they need to based on the restrictions in place. I want to say this. I'm concerned about this whole issue in a major way because I truly believe that take away everything from K-12 that a child's involved in, the most special event's high school graduation. It always is. And I told people, the five most special days of my career as a principal was sitting on the stage watching my watching my kids process in those 5 graduations as their principal. So they will always be highlights to me. So this is not an easy decision either way. There is no guarantee that we'll get to late July, early August, and be able to do a traditional graduation. There's no guarantee of that. The concern about that is if we get there and we can't do anything, where do we go from there? And we've lost our chance. We're getting farther and farther from that last day with the kids. I have heard some. One of the number one things that I've heard, yes, we have children going to college. Yes, we have children going to the workforce. But there is a lot of concern for children who are going in the military. They won't be here in late July, early August. So they will automatically be out with that. But here's what I will tell you on the flip side. I do not see any way that if we have graduations on May 19 at early college or June 9th traditional schools, or if we move Shays Early College graduation back to June 9th like everybody else is, give more time, I see no way, based on what's going on, that graduation can be a traditional ceremony without restrictions. I do not see, I'm not making those decisions state level, but I think we will be lucky at that point to be, we'll be in phase 2, I hope, but I do not see us come June 9 being completely open to have a full-fledged graduation. I make that point because, you know, when you start thinking about, do you make a decision today or not? I don't think, the kids said, I want a traditional graduation. The only way I can have a traditional graduation is late July, early August. And that's what I pull out of what the kids said. You
There's
know,
certainly no guarantees then.
yeah, there is not.
Better chance than right now.
Yes.
And, you know, we can't always do surveys on every little thing, and, but this is just any old event. This is, just,
Dealing with kids, and that's what they want, it's hard to argue. They've had a tough senior year, and it's hard to argue against those numbers. I mean, it really is. I worry the fact that, well, I worry, just like you said, Dr. Gainey, it's always, you know, June the 9th, once you get past that, when kids say, well, I moved on, is that chapter, will it close? And then by August the 1st or last of July, you know, a lot of kids may have military or college, or they're getting ready for the next chapter. I am concerned that you'll have maybe 60–70% show up, but where again, you can't argue with the numbers. But I would like to say on the principals, I think they did a good job coming up with a plan like they did. I really am impressed with that plan because they took a lot of time and effort on that. And whatever we decide, I do appreciate the fact that they didn't take it lightly, and I think that's great.
well, I think the plan is a reflection of their concerns for their kids and their love for their kids. That's what was driving, and Sheena was in those meetings I was in with them, and it kept coming back. It was about the kids, it was about the kids, it was about the kids. And you can't go wrong, and that's any crisis or dilemma you're dealing with a school, if you keep the focus on the kids, I think you can't go wrong. I mean, you're gonna be questioned, regardless of what's decided. There are gonna be questions, and there's gonna be a group that likes this and doesn't like this, regardless. But I was just overly impressed and appreciative of, that was the thing that kept running through every one of the meetings I was involved in.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, come June 9th, I don't see it happen. You know, depending on the way this board votes, which what we want to go with, if it's postponed to July or August. Like I say, got to make them realize, nothing guaranteed if we do postpone, that it's going to be, you know, the traditional free-for-all it normally is, you know, stadium full and kids hugging and carrying on. You know, we just got to make them understand we just going to have to wait and see. Like I said, depending on how the board votes on this, if we postpone it, I would like to see it closer to July than August if possible. Because I know some people going to the military, and the military has put them off till almost the end of July. So, you know, there's any way we can get those kids in there. You know, I know their high school graduation is great to them, but I believe the ones who are going to the military are seeing a bigger purpose, serving our country. But if we vote that way, postpone it, I would rather try to see it closer to being in July than August.
Have something to say?
Well, I'll not say what I thought. I'm glad we took the time, the principals took the time with that alternative plan. It's really a good plan under those conditions, those restrictions. But just like the numbers show, a lot of people do want it moved out. You know, I ran, just looking at the governor's plan and the phases, if you took it to the high end of the phases, because it's supposed to start this Saturday, and from all indications, it's going to start, phase one is going to start this Saturday. And it'll run through July the 11th. So that's taking all three phases of the governor's plan, and they'll take it all the way through July the 11th. Talking to some people and parents, their suggestions, and I'll just throw it out there, would be Saturday, August 1st, having it at 10 in the morning, and that way you would beat the heat, and it won't be as hot then. But then it'll give them time to get together and, you know, have lunch or spend the afternoon together. So that was some of the things that I heard.
Fred, you, Sharon, have something?
I mean, I agree, we gave them a chance to speak, and I think they're probably holding on to, later on, there might be a better chance that we can do it better than, you know, more traditional than if we do it right now. So I think we gave them a chance to speak and do what the majority of our kids want to, because it's all about them.
Yeah, I think obviously the survey, well, shouldn't use the word flawed, but, the real answer to the survey, and I think you kind of said or alluded to it, is that, you know, they don't want to have a graduation in July or August. They want to have a graduation with everybody together. No matter if it's tomorrow, if it's, you know, when it is. You know, I think for most purposes the students, they want to have something together with all of them. You know, it's walking, I don't know, from a few people I've talked to, and it's a very small sample size, so it's not a good sample, like you're saying, but that walk across the stage, you can, that doesn't matter as much as, you know, when they walked out of the door on March the 15th, 13th, you know, obviously no one knew that was the last time they were going to be together as a group, and I think that's, you know, obviously that's what this vote or this survey tells me, is that they just want to be together one more time. You know? And if there's no one else in the stadium, then I don't think that's near as big a deal as all 150 to 200, how many students in the graduating class, you know, are together. While I do appreciate what the principals put together, and obviously they're constrained in so many directions, I don't know how you can put together much different than what they did. That's not a graduation. I mean, really, there's no student that wants to participate in that. I mean, where they say, hey, we're going to graduate with 5 or 10 of you at a time, and another 5 or 10 are going to be on the other part of the campus, another 5 or 10, you're not going to see anybody. I mean, that's not what they want. So if that is the only thing we can do in June, on June the 9th, then I see no reason to do that. That being said, though, we have another board meeting in a couple of weeks. I mean, even though none of us seem to be expecting anything kind of change in, you know, by June the 9th, but I don't know that we have to make this decision today. I mean, if that's what everyone wants to do, I'm willing to do it. I really think it should really be considered, I mean, why not table it to March, May 18th? Is that the next board meeting, May 18th?
You think there's any chance, anything, any kind of direction? I know the governor, he was thinking he may have some kind of statement, then nothing really happened.
We received additional guidance Friday, and it was nothing more than it fit right in what we've been planning. And the best chance we'll have, the reason why I continue to say tentative and within its restrictions, the best chance we have for this to do anything June 9th would probably be being in phase 2, which has a 10 to 50 person window. I don't see, because phase one is 2 to 3 weeks. I think we'll be in phase two if we're there, if we're even there by June 9th. The other thing we do need to decide, and I understand the tabling, but we've got to decide something. We can't go to the 18th and turn around and tell the early college, we're going to have to make a decision at least on them tonight. And then that starts getting, my take is, if we're not going to use the dates that they originally were scheduled to use with early college being earlier, then we probably need to get everybody lined up together at that point, because that would have taken away, the early college is early just because they're on that community college schedule, so.
Dr. Gannon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you know the stipulations exactly? I've heard from the governor about the phases. If the cases increase to a certain number, I heard some things about 14 days. Are they going to draw them back? They're going to make them longer? Does anybody have the exact numbers on that?
Elizabeth, do you know
Well,
anything?
what I'd say about it is that everything that's been put out is pretty fuzzy in order to give them some latitude to make those kinds of decisions. And then there's, yeah.
But the reason I was asking, because if we did put it off, is there a chance that if things got better with some of these other states that have lifted their restrictions, would it be something that they would revisit and say, hey, we're getting better, we can lift restrictions earlier, or do we see that happen?
Anything's really possible. I mean, the guidance is pretty clear that it's not clear.
Well, when you read the phases, Mr. Biggs, even you read like phase two, many places I found when I was looking back through it this weekend, says more than 10, but it doesn't say the cap. And then Elizabeth and I were having a discussion today, which came back with a cap of 50. I just think
That's from the White House's guidance, which is optional for the states to adopt. But I imagine that if we go to phase two, the governor will pick some number.
Yep.
And 50 would be a good, decent guess.
right now, when you read what's out there from the state, it says phase two, more than 10. Well, more than 10 could be 5,000. I guarantee if we put 5,000 somewhere, we're going to get shut down. But I thought that was interesting too, which is parallel to what Elizabeth's saying about giving as much, they're keeping as much flexibility close to them as they can, so I really don't, if the kids want traditional graduation, I hear you, Mr. Burgess, and I think everybody sees what they want. The only chance we have of doing the traditional and getting them all together is putting it out there a ways out. I really don't see us getting that. So I think there's in what we were hearing is we want it moved back because we want it like we expected it to be. And that's why I say when you look at that, those responses, you got two things: move it back, but you really got what you're saying, Mr. Burgess. We all want to be together.
I mean, the thing we gotta look at is, people say things will get better, things will get better. This is a new beast. Nobody knows what it's gonna do. They're already saying it's gonna come back in the fall. It's gonna be a yearly thing, like the flu. And one of the things I see is, if we go off and have a regular graduation beforehand, and you got 1,000 kids graduating across the county, and you got 5,000 people, and you come up with 500 cases of the coronavirus, who's going to get blamed for that? Randolph County School System's going to get blamed for it. So I don't think we can rush this, because, you talk about phases. I know my son lives in South Carolina. They lived last week. He said you can't hardly tell the difference on their first phase. So, depending on what phase is what they're going to let open. But, we want the kids to have early graduation, we still got to play the card of watching what we do.
Well, I know we can't, obviously can't guarantee, whatever the end of July, 1st of August, of having a traditional graduation. But if we can't have it on August 1st, I mean, what are we, 2 weeks inside of the early college starting? And for the next year, so if we can't have it on August 1st,
So they still want to announce this weekend, we're within 2 weeks of the regular school.
okay, so, well, yeah, so
I
whatever,
just
we're
said-
within 2 weeks of, you know, if we can't have it on August 1st, I don't see how you have to start school on the 14th.
That just got social media hopping.
Well, you know.
But they came out of Raleigh Saturday, so I'm really surprised.
Governor signed it this afternoon, school starts August 17th.
Yeah,
You know, you have something, Matthew, you would like to add on? Okay, anything else on your end, Brian?
Well, I mean, obviously the kids want to get together, they have spoken. I was just trying to look at all options, if there was gonna be any availability of doing it sooner, but it doesn't look that way. And I am scared about doing it later. I am, but we have spoken and kids want to be together. I'm just afraid of where we're going to be at. We're in uncertain times. I just hope the people have spoken and we're going to follow their lead.
Well, Mr. Cook, I wanted to say the thing that, you know, I think when we all closed schools, I think we probably all thought, well, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Okay, here comes spring break, maybe. But I think the big factor in all of this the whole time has been time. And I don't know that we're going to be able to control the time frame. That's what concerns me. And for the community's sake, all the communities, this has become such a hot item the last week. You know, it's almost like the phases of things, you know, that have gone through. I'm not talking about phases, the governor's phase. I'm talking about the phases that have been across my desk. And it was, what are we doing with senior grades? What are we doing with, how first take care of the boys and make sure they know their options. And then what are we doing with senior grades? And then we came out with K-11 grades. And then as soon as that came out, here comes graduation. And I just don't, I think for the sake of our parents and our kids, you know, I don't know what the end of July, early August looks like, and no, Mr. Burgess, if it doesn't work then, I don't know what we do then unless we take off to December. You know, head towards December with rescheduling.
Sure, so, yeah,
But-
it'll have to happen then.
But, you know, I think, you know, if we get to end of July, early August, we know we've got one thing we may have to implement, or we may be able to implement at that point, or we may have to do something different totally. But just I think we got to give this some time. I mean, I think we've got to give it some time between, if we're not doing it June 9th, then we've got to give some time before another focal point. That's just my opinion.
You know something that really bothers me though, I know everyone on this board has wrestled with this, and it truly bothers them. I know this morning at 5:30, you was awake,
I was waiting.
Fred was awake, Burgess, I was awake, Sharon joined not too long after that.
Well, yeah, if you woke everybody up.
Everybody up. I did make a comment, Fred, he liked it, then he unliked it. I hurt my feelings on
I
that.
didn't realize I did that. I think what happened was, I liked it, and then my wife realized you sent it at 5:30 in the morning, she
She didn't
unlocked
like it, I
it.
figured it was something like that. But I'll tell you something, you know, this is what worries me about things coming out of Raleigh. You know, the legislators went back into session the 28th, I think it was. Well, one of our legislators stopped by my place and asked, why aren't you in Raleigh? Well, by golly, they've been in work for what, 3 or 4 days, and they're on recess till Thursday. Now tell me, that just has fried me all afternoon. I'm thinking, I told Todd about it earlier, because I think he pretty much had an explanation for it. But I'm thinking, we can't depend on them to help us for a whole lot. I mean, and that really bothers me. I'll tell you when you start school next year, but we're taking off to Thursday. You know what? I appreciate the fact that this board and everyone in this school system even though they had a curveball thrown to them, something they never had to deal with, from you all the way down to the far down as it trickles down in the school system. They've all tried to do their job. They didn't hide from it. Teachers are still trying to teach kids and work with them. And you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that all of us, we care. And we're still here thinking, and we're trying to wrestle what's best for these kids. You know, we're not hiding from it, guys. I appreciate all you guys and everyone in this school system that has taken a stand and their heart's in the right place. And, you know, I just need to get that off my chest, because since I found out they were on recess, I'm thinking, maybe they'll get a haircut. Ran over.
For budget.
No, one of the things is to, like I said, how the board votes on this. And if it's voted to be later on, we need to come up with a date fairly quick. I mean, the date, in my opinion, the date, you know, it needs to be set before June, where these kids will know, hey, this is the date if we decide to postpone it.
We'll do something.
Maybe you come up with a date on the 18th board meeting. Is that possible if we decide to go this way or something?
How is that going to affect early college for wait till 18? How is that going to be?
Well, you know,
Well, you'll know tonight by the vote if it's going to be June 9th or.
If it's delayed, the next thing I'll do is notify the principals as delayed to a date to be determined, late July, early August. So that'll, Mr. Biggs, that'll be the next thing. So that would, to me, if we're not going to do May 19 and June 9, then we put them all together at that point. There's no need for the early college to be different from the other ones on the schedule.
Okay.
any more conversation or discussion?
So do we have to have a vote, or is the vote just, we're voting to delay it, we're not giving the date or anything?
Yeah, you need to vote to delay the current graduation schedule.
So,
Can they include in there, much as the survey, to a date in late July, early August, so it gives a little bit of an indication to parents, and anybody watching will know that we're trying to come up with an exact date at the May 18th meeting. I think delaying it and it just laying out there I think we need to give a little bit of direction to our staff and parents and students.
That's fine.
so you need to ask for a motion. Okay, this time I'm going to ask for a motion to,
I got something right quick. But if we go ahead and set a date, you know, if people are trying to plan vacation, then they'll know. I mean, we can wait.
18th, I'd like to have a full, maybe give Dr. Gaines a little time to look at some dates toward the end. I mean, it would be the last of July, first of all. I would not want to go past August 1st.
I would need
I would not want to go past August 1st.
And if we wait until our board meeting, it's still not going to be within 2 months.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, we'll know what the governor says.
I think you would pretty much know between that last week of July, not going past the first week of August is what I would.
But I would suggest giving if that's the direction you go, to give some kind of qualifier of what window you're talking about.
Okay.
In your motion tonight, if that's what you do.
You want to make?
As much as I don't want to put a date, and so I'm talking both sides of my mouth, I do not want to have 804 people call me and say, this is the date you need to pick.
Well, that's
So
what I was,
I understand, that's what I'm saying, because
Well,
I don't want to have a
saying-
date, I don't want that, you know.
August.
I tend to be,
What date are you
with
thinking?
Todd, what you're talking about, those phases, that was, you said July the 11th, or?
July the 11th.
All right, that's a Saturday.
Stokes County announced August the 1st today as their graduation. It came out this afternoon on the news.
Yeah, I mean, if we were going to pick a date, I would probably tend to go toward Alabama. the 25th, but, I mean, the 18th, 20th, it doesn't matter. First of all, I would say I think it needs to be a Saturday.
Yes.
Really early, because
Early.
it's hot.
Yeah, and, so I would, I mean,
If you
To
did
me,
it,
18th
that might help the military part of it, you
Yeah.
think?
the 18th to the 25th doesn't matter to me. And I'm not worried about the ones who, the reality is we're gonna have some who do not come because they're apathetic by that time, you know. It's the ones who want to come who can't come, and if that means do it the 18th instead of 25th, then I'm fine with that.
You guys want to think about the 25th?
Do you know, I mean, does anybody know, does that make a difference as far as military or anything like that? Both of them sounds, yeah.
What I've heard from a few kids I talked to going in the military, that's gonna hit about, it's gonna be 2 or 3 days. They may leave before then, or it might be 2 or 3 days after that, so.
What about?
It's a crap shot. I mean, it depends what branch of service you go in when they, open recruit.
Back up earlier than the 25th.
The 18th will put us outside the phase 3, right, Todd?
Yeah, but that gives you another week leeway. I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Put it
guarantee you.
right then.
I wouldn't guarantee, it don't change before then. If the cases growing goes up, they may slap it back under another phase.
So the only thing, if you push it too early, I guess the further out you put it, like August 1st, the better chance you would have a traditional graduation.
Yeah.
If you go that July the 18th or maybe even 25th, you gotta consider, what if we're still,
How about
we can
July-
make
how
a
about
difference? I mean,
July 25th, and then rain date, August 1st.
If it rains, we'll go inside.
Okay.
Yeah, that, I wouldn't get it, because if you start moving the date, if you start moving the date towards rain, then you might start a precedent of when we get back to the regular graduation scenario.
can we just kind of poll the group and see
In
what they
July, you'll be
think?
begging for rain.
You guys good with that? Can we do that?
Do you want to say tentative?
Just say what date you think, in 25th or 1st, what do you guys?
I say 25th.
I do too.
I said 25th.
Tentatively scheduled for it.
And yeah, I put that in
Matthew?
there, just in case we decide to.
25th or the 1st?
He said
25th.
25th.
I'd like to make a motion that the Randolph County School System move their 2019-2020 graduation date, would that be right? To July 25th, 2020.
Before you do that, I'm sorry. I do know that there are some, that are going to be, that they get for basic training on as early as the 14th. So it doesn't really matter, 18th or the 25th, it's not really going to matter, it sounds like. I mean, at least one particular one, I know there's an Air Force basic training that starts on the 14th. So I don't know if that makes a difference, before you go 18th versus 25th, so.
Probably the whole military thing's gonna be, different branches.
Yeah.
And that's gonna change the dates and, they can be pushed off further because they probably had graduating classes who ain't got to graduate in the military also.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So you don't, throw the military thing in there, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna throw, I guess, a curveball here. Let's just say we set the date July the 25th, and you have, and I'm just thinking way outside the box when I say this, so Lord, I probably shouldn't say it loud. You have somebody in the military, like the person you're talking about, do you think it would be possible if, I know principals work for 12 months here, maybe they could come to that school and auditorium and get their diploma, or before they go, something like, it's not a ceremony, but at least a principal, they present it to them. They could have their cap and gown,
Okay.
I think the principals will work with that. It won't be a ceremony, it might just be
It'll
a.
be a ceremony, but at least it will be a
Handshake or something, yeah.
or they would be able to be with that principal, that would give them something, you know, the parents will be there, is that, maybe that could be, if somebody can't come and an emergency, I was just thinking, I mean, I hate,
It's,
I think that'd be on a case by case and
yeah,
then contact the principal. The principal's gonna work with them, you know.
I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, like I said, I think, you know, the main thing with graduation is that kids want to be
like,
as a group again. You know, if someone said, hey, we're gonna let you get back together, but nobody's gonna walk across stage, I think we'd have the same percentage for me saying, okay, we'll do that, you know, so,
at least if that other's out there, that'll give them a chance to,
yeah.
okay.
Do you want to put a time with it?
You're gonna set the date.
We can just say
Set
8
the time.
Just say 8 a.m. I think just an early morning.
Just say 8 a.m.
Because Trinity and Wheatmore does something different, an hour from each
I
other.
agree about that, it just,
Well,
because you won't have.
and the reason for Trinity and Wheatmore and Crawford Cove and Eastern is because you have a lot of overlapping families. So,
Probably can't happen this time.
probably, we'll do whatever, we'll do it, I mean,
I think
I would just say 8 a.m.
It's at a time.
I would,
I think time, then that's something that principals can kind of, and the central office can kind of work through.
You get the date, they can come up with a time, or it'll be okay.
would they give us a time by our next board meeting? Would that be okay?
That's fine, I can talk it over.
Okay. I move that the Randolph County School System, school year 2019-2020, graduation date of June 9th, move to July 25th, 2020,
For all schools.
for all schools.
And to clarify, you mean the early college graduation date as well?
Yes,
Schools.
for all schools,
all schools including early college.
including early
Are
college.
you gonna put any reference on time?
I would put 10 a.m.
I mean,
That way, give them in there in the morning. It's too hot. Yeah.
Well, you-
Gina, is there gonna be an issue with that?
I'm worried about streaming all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have the manpower to do that.
Just say 8 a.m.
We could, if you give them the
You want
one,
to put per, in the AM per the principal's discretion?
or,
in our technology department.
well, one of the things we get back, and Sheena's talking about the stream, we get a lot of good feedback on that. If we could have some flexibility to do morning hours, kind of parallel to, what they do with the regular schedule, and that would keep some of the load off exactly at the same time, like if we could do a Providence and a Eastern, kind of a different time, a week more in Trinity. So that's the only problem. If we put everybody at 10, we'll probably have a problem with live stream.
Okay, so we'll just move it to that date, and let's leave it at that. Do we want to be specific about AM, or just leave it?
Yeah, I would just let the principal work it out, just let them know that it'd be started by 11 o'clock.
Latest, yeah. Okay, that was my motion then. Can we do it again?
Yeah, why don't you restate the motion then for the record?
Okay,
Who's
restate it?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
I'd like to move the Randolph County School System graduation date for Randolph Early College High School and our 6 traditional high schools. Move their graduation date to July 25th, 2020.
Okay,
With a start time no later than 11 a.m.
so we have the motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we need to do the roll call vote now, right? Is that what you're?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Matthew Lambert, do you, yes or no? What is it?
He said
Brian,
Aye.
Tracy,
Aye.
Fred, Sharon, Gary, aye.
I made the motion.
Okay. Good night, you vote. Okay, it's unanimous. Graduation will be July the 25th in the AM for the Randolph County schools, all schools, high schools. And once again, I do appreciate the work that the principals, make sure you tell them that. And I'm sure they will handle this and do a great job. And also, the part that we discussed about if someone's in the military or something, please relay that to them where no kid, no matter if they can't help, if they're, if they're called away before then, they should have an opportunity to have their diploma, wear their cap and gown, and have a picture with the principal. Okay, a lot changes.
So I will communicate this back to the board, principals tonight, and I will go ahead and tell them to start thinking about what they want to do to make sure, we'll talk about time so that no one starts later than 11 o'clock. So I know the public's listening, so these times will come out soon, but you can ensure that they will start no later than 11 o'clock.
I mean,
Okay.
we, we've listened to students and parents as gracious enough to fill the survey out. Yes, we know there's going to be some people who don't like it, but that's the way it is on everything we do. We just, I just ask for the parents and the graduating seniors, this is what you asked for. We want you to hold your part up and be there.
So I'm curious, I assume there wasn't a class graduation class photos made or anything like that for each school? I guess?
Probably not,
In
because
the
that
past,
usually
we never
happens
got to
in
that.
May. when they
That
all-
usually happens in early May.
Yeah, okay,
They usually have their caps and gowns, and some of them haven't got them yet.
yeah.
Yeah, invitations, all that stuff.
Okay, well,
Speaking of caps and gowns, one high school principal called me over spring break because I think it was Johnston's was gonna deliver those, but the problem with that at that point was this mass gathering issue. And some schools already got them out, but the principal was very concerned, and rightfully so, because you start telling kids to come get your cap and gown, and they're gonna come once, probably, and then you have another issue. So, yeah, I know there's a couple, I know at least one school that had not received them yet, as far as even on site to give them out yet, so.
So, Danny, one thing, since now that we have a graduation date, will the principal start communicating with the seniors about senior awards and scholarships, or how will that be done?
We haven't, that's a school-based issue. That's gonna be a tough one, because those are big assemblies, and they go on for, everybody's been to these assemblies, and I don't know how they're gonna do that, how they could even replay that, so they'll have to, this may give them a little bit of time to breathe from this issue and see, but I'm
Dr. Gaines?
I'm worried that that's not gonna be the event that can be replayed. I don't even.
I don't see how you can get them together like that.
Yes,
Yes, sir, Mr. Biggs.
No, I was saying that I know that the schools are doing a good job. Me having a senior, they're doing a good job of staying in touch with the kids and letting them know what they received and what they did not receive. And as far as the scholarships and things like that, they've been in contact with a lot of the students. They're letting them know what they got and what they didn't get and what to apply for. The guidance counselors have been tremendous in keeping the kids up to date on scholarships that are available, sending out emails to them regularly.
But, Dr. Gaines, I want you, please reiterate to the principals that we appreciate the work they've done on trying to figure this out.
Absolutely.
Tell them we're not taking nothing away from what they tried to do at all. I mean, like we said from the get-go, this is about the graduating seniors. They voiced their opinion, and there's no way slap in the face or nothing to them for what they try to do. But I think you and them did a great job coming up with the plan you did, tried to have something. And, I'm totally surprised. The percentages of what they were, I figured it'd be a little closer. We appreciate, I appreciate the work they've done.
And like I say, I gave the example of Dennis, and, I think if Brian Hodgson was told that he could have one kid at the gate at the stadium, one kid at Marquette Middle School, one kid at Mac Road, Hopewell Friends, Road intersection, that's how that had to go, I think he'd stand on that stage and wait for him to walk up. That's how committed they were in all these meetings to trying to figure out something for the kids beyond, some of the other things you're hearing. I don't want to point out some of the other things that we did discuss, because I would never want to come across negative towards anything any other school system's doing or any other high schools doing. But I believe they have stood there for days on end if they could to do that. So that's a testament to them.
Dr. Kenny, do you think that about our meeting in a couple of weeks, maybe the principals could all come back with a time before then? That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll get that. I'll get that with Kathy Waddell and get with Kathy Waddell. We'll work that out. I'm already thinking about, the Wheatmore Trinity, one is 9, one's 11, or one's 8, one's 10. I did 8 o'clock graduation on Saturday mornings for a long time out of where I was at my high school. So that does work. It's a little early, but it's going to be plenty hot. So we've also, you probably remember, because all of you were on the board last year's time, and you've been on the board long enough to see this, the letters we would send out to elected officials, commissioners, board members, and AT tax members and AT zones, Wheatmore and Trinity. We would send it out so the principals knew who was going to be there. We've kind of been kicking that down the road. Beverly and I do those letters and send them to the principals, and Beverly does most of them. I shouldn't even say I, because if I was typing them, it would be forever. But we've been kicking that down the road for several weeks now. So this will get that in place. If things look like that, we're going to have a regular traditional graduation if we get closer to July 25. But we'll get those times. Probably start with those two. And, probably the outlier being early college, because she's not in any kind of, Wheatmore, Southwest. I kind of like to keep the same scheme, if y'all don't mind, with Providence and Eastern, Wheatmore and Trinity going about the same time. That keeps the load off of Sheena. And then we come back in and pick, if we can get Random and the Southwest to agree on a time, how they've gone to 7 o'clock every time. That would kind of get you a little bit of light that load on the live stream. So we'll try to do that if we can get it to work. Maybe 2 8s, 2 9s, 2 10s, maybe, something like that.
Afraid you'll be there at 5:30.
Well, you wake me up. I know this didn't really, well, it's all related, but what kind of process we're going to have? You mentioned these 2045 Chromebooks. What process we have getting Chromebooks back, just textbooks back?
Actually,
You
guys,
athletic-
because this is a special called meeting,
All right,
we can
all right.
only discuss what's been noticed for the meeting.
Okay.
So you guys have a meeting in 2 weeks, but of course you can call another special call meeting if you like between now.
We don't need a special call meeting on how to get a textbook back. That's all.
Okay. This time I need a motion, if that's it, everything, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Well, I want to say, I'll make it.
All right.
Like I say, I appreciate everything the school system, the board, Dr. Gaines done through this pandemic. It's something we never thought we'd seen in our lifetime. The people out in the community just don't realize what we've been through, Dr. Gaines been through, as a board we've been through. I mean, there's been issues that this whole thing we haven't agreed upon, and it's something in my lifetime I never thought. You hear your grandpas talk about the polio epidemic. In this day and time, technology, we never thought we'd go through something like this. But, whether we get along all the time, we don't. Nobody does. but in general, I think we get along very well, and I just appreciate all y'all's efforts.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion with adjourn.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay. So we have to do the roll call.
I guess, I mean, you know, this law went into effect a few hours ago, so
Tracy Boyd moved to
the best I
adjourn.
know is to follow it.
Okay, Matthew. Brian, Tracy,
Yes.
Sharon, Fred, here.
No.
Melissa, stay. All right. This meeting is adjourned.
It's not a certain time.